Hello, everyone. My name is Luilio, and I'm going to introduce some prerequisites for our full stack Geo-visualization 101 workshop that is going to be in the UCGIS 2021. So I'm going to introduce the overall requirements in three parts. The first one is your skills before you're going to enter these workshops. The first that you are is that you should able to understand some basic idea of a GIS, such as what is a map, what is layer, and different types of data sets. And the second one you are going to know is that you should have some basic understanding of a PC and internet knowledge. For example, like how to operate operating systems, how to what is a web browser, and how to open a web page. Necessary, although it is sounds trivial, but it's very important to mention here. The third one is that I I would like to see some programming experiences. It is preferred, but not necessarily like a must, because I understand that a lot of people are not familiar with programming at all. But if you do have some programming experience, that will be perfect, and that don't actually have to be relevant to web programming specifically. So yeah. And also remember, you are also welcome to attend the workshop, even if you have zero programming experience. The last one is you should have some basic understanding of the database knowledge if you want to continue the backend part. Uh, for example, like data management systems and the database GUI. And that is the basic skills we're going to use before we jump into the workshops. And the next part will be your hardware. So first, you will need a PC, and you know a Windows operating system is preferred, but you can also use others like Linux. If you do, you can contact me, and if you have some trouble, we can talk afterwards. I can introduce you some solutions, because uh, I do know a lot of people are still using old version of the Windows system or other systems. But yeah, but basically Windows 10 is preferred, and the next one is a kind of tribal, but the internet is necessary. And the last one is is that if you want to finish the second part, which is the backend parts, uh, where we would talk about how to build a database, how to connect the backend to the front end, you will need a PC with administrator privilege. So yeah, but before the second part, if you just want to learn about the front end part, that's okay. If you want to do the everything is on the school's desktop, or you do not have an administrator privilege on your PC, that's okay too. So yeah, so next part I'm going to introduce the software we're going to use in the workshop. So I will, instead of just talking, I will introduce how to install these software and what is will be using in the workshops. And yeah, the first one we will use is a Visual Studio Code. Is essentially, you can understand it as an advanced version of text editors. So yeah, this is a download web page, and because this PC already installed that software, I will just download that and can see. Okay, there it is, and you can open that. We won't just we just go into the just to go into that, and we will not click the install. You can choose different things. Yes, and add to the path. That's a necessary one too. But yeah, so we just click install and it will do it itself. There is nothing tricky here. The second part is the GitHub Desktop. We will use GitHub as the version control tools, and also we will use GitHub page as a tools to host our web page and a web map we built from our local machines. And by using the GitHub page, we can publish um, your web page to the whole world, and that's very helpful. And it is completely free. So yeah, download this desktop, so GitHub Desktop, and click on that. I would say this is a pretty, very nice and a very carefully designed software. You do not see any interface at all. It's just installed on your local machines automatically. And yeah, you should be seeing this, which means you have no account. If you have no account, you can click here, create your free account. So this is just my web page. I will start from beginning, create your free account, and enter your username, enter your email, your password, and verify. Pretty much similar to any website register, right? And I won't repeat here. So I would just use my own GitHub account. So click here, sign in to the github.com. So I will use my own account and click sign in. And it's trying to open the GitHub Desktop, click open. I should be seeing this web page, this page, and yeah, I will use my own name and my emails as the things, and yeah, and I'm probably not submit the stats. And then we'll see this. So instead of creating a tutorial, we're going to create a new repository for our project. Let's say my first web app. That sounds good. Ignore all of that. You don't need that at all. And create a repository. And yes, you can see this web page. You can see this page right now. So this is pretty much the repos you're going to use for for the demos we're going to use. So right now, click on the publish repository, and you can choose that as a private, depending on how your account is. I would just choose public because this is basically a demo. There is nothing to hide. So I would just publish the repo to the internet. Already, okay. So how about new? There it is. So yeah, if you are creating a new account, that shouldn't happen. This happens because I tested before. So yeah, choose your name carefully. And this basically is, that's basically it. And we install GitHub Desktop, and you have your own account. And let's go back to our checklist. And the third part will be, we will need a special web browser. It's called the Firefox browser developer editions. We will use it a lot. Let's click on that. So you will see this download page, and let's click on the Firefox downloader edition. So yes, let's click on the open. You will see this pop up, but simply click no if you like in a similar situation as me, because I'm using a school's PC, so I do not have the administrator privilege. But it's okay, it's installed on its own, so don't worry about it. It's still working. Yeah, there it is. So pretty much this is a web browser itself. So the only difference is that it have some special feature design for web developers just like us. So yeah. And second things, I want you to add to the Firefox is that there was a plugin that is very useful. So copy this URL to this specific web browser, which is the Firefox Developer Edition. And oh no, I didn't copy the right. Click on copy, and there it is. You see this plugin. I already installed that. I will just remove it. Let's just do this again. So if you say add course everywhere, click on add. This will bypass a lot of problems we will meet during our development, especially in the backend process. So this is definitely a necessary process, even for front end. Yeah, even for front end. So make sure you do this, and to check whether you successfully install this, just click on that. If you turn on green, or you can see this button, that means you're fine. So yeah, that's all for Firefox. So I will use this share folder in Google Drive as our places to share to share all the demos and data. So before you jump into the workshops that we're going to conduct, make sure you prepare all the information and demos and the data in this folder. So you see UCGIS 2020. There was only like a proposal right now. I will populate this folder later. So yeah, and this is just for front end. So if you just want to do front end work, this is enough for you. For backend user or so-called the full stack user, you want to go deeper, and we will cover some aspect of that. You will need several things. The first one is the Python 3. Python, of course, is very popular right now. So just click on that button. So it will show you the download page of the Python. Let's click on the download Python 3.9.2. And remember, the version doesn't matter as long as it is a Python 3. So yeah, and as you can see here, we said any version from 3.4 to 3.9 is fine. So if you're using the older version, don't worry about it. You do not have to uninstall your older version and install the newer version. That's fine. So here we see for new users, let's see, be careful because there is something we need to know. First one is click on this add Python 3.9 to pass, and do not install launcher for all users, because especially for like if you're using a common PC, if you share a PC with another one, do not click on this one. But if you're using your own PC, feel free to click that. That doesn't matter. Let's click on that. It's installing, and so wait for that. It shouldn't take a very long time depending on how fast your computer works. So yeah, it should be fine. Python is very robust, so really there is no tricky parts. As long as you follow my instruction here. So don't worry about this, and just click close. As long as you see setup was successful, that's fine. So next part that we're going to do is that we will right click the start button here and open the Windows PowerShell. And we will see, we'll test it. We'll say it's installed. That's a good sign. And just quit that. And next thing I want you to do is that follow follow this part, which is the EVE library in Python 3. So typing this or this. So I would recommend using Python, depending on like you can try both. I mean EVE, and it says installing, so that means it's working. But sometimes your PC may have multiple versions of Python. For example, like I'm not even sure which version is this one. So I think I will use Python 3. Okay, so it seems like but anyway, after you try all of that, one thing you want to do is click on, type in Python, and it says Python 3.9.2, and you want to import EVE to test it. If you see there is no error, that means you're good. So this is like, that's all. That's all for this step. And sometimes you do not register a pass, or you forgot to click on the checkbox during the installation. So you can also use this. So py or Python -m pip install EVE. It basically is do the same thing as this. So next thing I want going to do is that since I'm using a school's computer, I'm going to quit this environment and switch to my own computer, because these parts requires me to use administrator privilege to install the MongoDB. So let's go to the MongoDB database and try to install that. And yeah, so you will see this web page. This is the download page of a MongoDB, and click here. If you are Windows, I highly recommend you download the MSI, because essentially it's like the guarantee that you can cleanly uninstall MongoDB after you finish all these jobs. So I would say it is the wise choice. Of course, you can use a zip, but zip is not very reliable for Windows. So yeah, you should be here. And after that, click on open the files just to download. And it will say installer. So it will show up, yeah, this one. So we show that MongoDB 4.4.4, setup wizard, and then click on next and accept. Let's say we want custom. We do not want complete because we want control. So determine your location, that's all fine. Let's click on next. I would just install on C because yeah. So about this part, you want to install as a service. Always click on yes. And the data parts, if you want to maintain a longer, like for example, like if you really want to use the MongoDB as a host for your data, you better not install the data into your system file, system disk, because it will become very large. You probably want to like use another disk, or use another disk area. That's all fine. But here I'm just going to keep that way, because our data set is not that large. I can deal with that. And yes, and this is useless. Do not install that. And install. You see there is the button with the administrator privilege. So yeah, make sure you have the administrator privilege before installing MongoDB on your machines, or you can contact your IT for support. Yeah, you see. Right now I'm having a pop-up saying that ask me to approve that. So yes, it's installing. So while it is installing, it would take some time. So let's go back to the documents. So I want, this one is it's not necessarily a must, but it is pretty much like a must. Let's go download that. You can understand this Robo 3T as a GUI for the MongoDB, just like the PG admin for post GIS or post circle. Let's say I just want to download the 3T, and I can just you can pretty much make up the names for this part. Argentina, but yeah, and download the Windows. And here, always remember the zip is better. Unlike other software, zip is better. So because this is basically a GUI, so you can of course use the exact zip, but I like a zip because you can always like delete that. You don't have to even register these files into your system. So that, but anyway, it depends on you, right? I would just use zip. So extract that somewhere, I would say somewhere on my computer. And I will go to that place and yes, and find that files. And this is you can do this better. I would just do the test, and then you find this Robo 3T, which is the unzipped from these download files. Just open that. So this is like an interface for the database, but itself it does not contain any data. So you can see here, I already have a connection. Let's say let's just remove that. Let's create a new connection. So traditionally, you just follow the the same port, the same local host. That just keep that way, because you do not change that at all. So let's say save and try to connect that. You see, we just connected. That means our service is running. We can let's say so this is essentially a database we're seeing right now. So yeah, this says successful. That means, meanwhile, we're doing installing this one, the Robo 3T, the MongoDB is finished. So as long as you can see this one popping up, the config, that means your MongoDB is all fine. Another way to see this is that you can open your task administrator, task manager. Click on Control Alt and Delete, and click on the task manager, or you can go to the search and type in task manager, and it pop up and you open that. So one way to find out whether MongoDB is working is that you can go to the M and find out if there is a server. Yeah, there is. The MongoDB database server is running. So yeah, so during the before we going for the workshops, I think all of these are necessary. It's definitely like it takes some time to install all of these prerequisites. So yeah, if you have any question, you can email me, contact me, and we can definitely please feel free to contact me, right? So yeah, I think that's all. And I'm very happy to host this workshop, and I'm very much expecting the actual workshop and looking forward to your attending. So thank you, and see you then.